I have today with me Adriana, who comes from Romania, the other Adriana, who is streaming from Germany, and also Kasia, who is also from Poland, and Yasmin, who is from Italy, and she has some origins in Morocco. And before I will pass it over to today's speakers, I just want to let you know that if you have any questions while my colleagues are presenting, please feel free to put them in the chat. So at the end, we will be able to answer them. And yes, I will pass it over to Adriana.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's workshop. We will be talking about two different platforms today, Instagram and Facebook. Although they are owned by the same company, they are two very distinct platforms that require different types of content on each of them. The type of content on Instagram can also be split into two categories. So there are the stories and the in-feed posts. The posts are the content that you see when you first open the app, while the posts are usually the more strategic ones, where you put a little bit more effort into the captions as well, into the overall quality of the work that you produce. And stories are a place where you can just play around with your content, you can get engagement from people, you can use a lot of different tools that will bring you closer to your audience. You can create polls on stories where you ask people a bunch of questions as a research tool or just to get to know them more personally. And you can also post longer videos, which are called reels, where you can show your employees, your behind the scenes, or whatever type of content suits your brand. There's also the boomerangs, which are basically short motion videos that are a good way to boost your engagement and just show your audience that you're there. So on the other hand, we have Facebook, which is a platform that's been here way before Instagram and that was very popular a few years ago. Now, Facebook is a place that allows for more personal stories and long form posts. It's a place where people go to find more about you as a company, about your initiatives, and people want to go there and find more information and less visual content. So if you decide to go for Facebook, you need to make sure that all the posts on there are relevant. It's not like Instagram where you can just post a story quickly just to check in with your audience. It's more of a place where you give information about upcoming events, new launches, and so on. It's good to know that also Facebook can be a replacement for your own website, while Instagram can't. So if you want to run a website, but you don't want to maintain and host a actual website, Instagram doesn't really give you that many options, while Facebook does. If your brand is selling products on a regular basis, you can also post them on both Facebook's and Instagram's marketplaces. It's a way for people to go directly to your offerings whenever they check out your social media profile and connect your brand to your products instantly. If you don't have an e-commerce website, this might be a good option for you to be able to sell your products online. Now, based on your target audience and your offering, you need to choose what the best platform is for you. This decision is based on a lot of factors, but I'm going to try to explain it in a way that's easy for you to follow. And you will also get a checklist via email after the event where you'll have a list of things to consider when choosing the right platform for you. So in order to find out which platform to go for, there are a few simple questions that you should ask yourself. At first, do you have enough time to post regularly and upload your feed constantly? If the answer is yes, you might lean a bit more towards Instagram because Instagram is not really a place where you can just post one post per month and get away with it. Instagram and the way that Instagram's algorithm works is that it pushes content the more frequent it is and the more constantly you post. So you need to be on top of your game. You need to prepare so that you don't miss posts. And it needs a bit more time commitment from your business. Now, of course, there are ways to boost the algorithm by paying for your posts to be promoted, but that's something that Kasia will touch on a bit later. Do not forget about Facebook. If you think that you have enough time to entertain both platforms, use them both. Instagram is usually a place for people under 40 and 30 years old, while people over 40 and families are still very active on Facebook. So depending on who your primary audience is, you'll have to make the right decision. If your target audience is, for example, elderly who are retired, chances are no matter how cool your content will be on Instagram, you will hardly ever reach them simply because that is just not where they hang out most of the time. You can recycle your content as well. Instagram and Facebook are linked, so you can post the same thing on both profiles with just a touch of a button. However, personalization and tailoring your content, for example, for Insta stories, might be a bit more helpful to grow your online brand quicker. Let's say, for example, that we are a restaurant. A restaurant can take and will probably take nice pictures because there's a lot of good looking dishes, nice food, a nice atmosphere, and lots of people that can vouch for the quality of food and service. But when you're looking for what restaurant to go to, are you looking on Facebook or Instagram? And I think here the right answer is Facebook, only because it has the reviews option. While for Instagram, it's a bit trickier to find the real opinions about a place. Yes, people can comment, but you will have to go to each individual post and see if anyone commented anything useful about the quality of the service or the food on that particular post. And if they haven't, you have to go to another post. So it's very time consuming. Facebook wins in this case because it has the reviews option, but the same thing applies for platforms like Google Reviews or TripAdvisor. So if you already have a following on a platform and you're just looking to use another platform for reviews, you might want to revisit your decision and see if Facebook is actually good for you or not. There's nothing wrong with saying no to a platform that you think is not the right fit for you. Yes, it's good to be everywhere, but that's only the case if you can actually manage to be present in all of these places. If you just exist there, but your last post is from a few months ago or even years ago, you might want to delete that profile and just streamline all your focus and efforts onto one platform. So after you have created that awareness about your brand, you have a few reviews coming in constantly, then you can create another profile on Instagram so that you can expand on your already existing target audience, and you can start creating a bigger connection between you and your customers. So you have a place where they can come in for inspiration, for nice looking dishes, and just regular updates on your business. So that's kind of a short description of Instagram and Facebook and the type of content that goes on each platform. They are two very different platforms. And yes, while you can recycle content and use similar content of both, you don't have to take two entirely different pictures or use two completely different captions. But usually as a guide, Instagram is the more visual one and Facebook is the more informational one that goes with more personal and long form content. Now, after you have an understanding of what platform you should go for, you need to know exactly what you should post on there. So you'll have to talk about value. What I mean by value is that you should be aware of why people choose you and your business and what value you bring in their life. You need to learn what your USP is, and that means unique selling point. What it is that you have that your competitors don't. What do you do different? Let's say that we are the same restaurant as I used in the example before. Your location is close to a university. Your USP is the place, the actual geographic position. How fast can a student come, get served, eat, and go back to campus? How fast can you be found? Is it hidden away on a street, or is it right in front of that university so that people can see you every time they get there and every time they leave in the evening? If you do that, that's instant brand awareness. People know that you exist because they see you every time. Are you in front of a bus stop? Do people have time to look over your menu or the appearance of your restaurant while they wait for the bus to come? These are all things that you should consider whenever you think about what your USP might be. For our restaurant, we are going to say that this is the USP, the proximity to the university. It doesn't always have to be this way though. It can be many more things, like your price or the variety of your offerings, but it's up to you to find out what makes you unique. For our restaurant, our target audience that we will be looking to target are students, and students are usually part of Instagram and less part of Facebook. So we are therefore going to focus on Instagram, but still have a Facebook presence for our older customers, and so that we have a place that people can review and can engage with us on a more personal basis. And now I'm going to hand it over to Adriana, who is going to talk about engagement.
All right, so engagement and activity on social media is crucial as it is all about connecting and sharing with people. For building a stable social engagement, your customers get a positive brand experience and you're able to develop a meaningful relationship with your current but also new and potential customers. Viewing your engagement can also reveal which content ideas are working and which don't. But before you're going to start engaging online, you need to be aware of the way your brand wants to come across, which means what is your brand's personality and how does your brand communicate with the customers, also known as a brand's tone of voice. To answer that, try to describe your brand with three adjectives. For example, is your brand friendly, informative, helpful? Or is it quirky, bold, and lively? While there's no wrong answer when it comes to your brand, it's better to settle it for once. But even if you need to rebrand your business for certain reasons, you can always do it. To see the impact of a brand's voice, here's an example of Starbucks and Coca-Cola with different communication words. Knowing these brands, would you say Starbucks would use howdy to communicate with their audience? Or Coca-Cola saying greetings? Well, we as their customers would immediately say no because the brands represent themselves differently in public. So we know hello and hi would be a better fit for them. And that's exactly what you want to achieve with your brand. So settling on your tone of voice first will help your business to communicate with your customers in a clear way. And if you're still unsure what your brand's voice is, the next step can also help you to identify it, which is who is your target audience. Knowing your customers can help you to find the right social platform for your business, when is the best time to post, and what content you should post. And as mentioned before, it can also help you to develop your brand's voice based on your customer's personality or preferences. Basically, the more you know about your audience, the better you can target, communicate, and sell your business to them. Taking, for example, all people in London as potential customers, an Italian restaurant in Ealing with only one location will mainly target people in Ealing or West London. Because not everyone likes Italian food, the customers' range gets even smaller. Now, the owner of the restaurant recognized the people eating there are mostly between 25 to 40 years old. Including to that, the busiest time is during lunch when many people working in an office order something to eat. Based on all the information the Italian restaurant now has about their audience, they can directly advertise their business on Facebook and Instagram to people living around Ealing and West London. And creating, for example, a special lunch menu or a discount code will help to attract even more customers working in an office. But what does this scenario mean for your business? Having all the information about your customers can help you to directly advertise them and make your brand more appealing by creating special offers or events. Doing so will let your audience think you know what they want, which leads to customer loyalty and can attract even more people. Now, some of you didn't have the chance to interact with customers physically in the last months, and some might be unsure about how can the Italian restaurant scenario work in the online world, and without having all the real life information and without knowing who your main customers are. And while your already existing customer base usually doesn't change on social media, it can be hard to identify their online habits. Yet, I can tell you, you can gather all the same information like in the Italian restaurant example via the platform you're using, because all social platforms have business analytics, which is showing you who is engaging with your content, when, and where. It also reveals when is the best time of day to post something to gain as much engagement as possible and what kind of content your followers like. While at the beginning, it is more like an experiment to see what works for your business and what appeals to your online audience, it doesn't take long for the analytics system to gather all the information you need, and it's very user-friendly. On Facebook, you can access the analytics section via your business page settings. Here you have various categories like numbers of page views, likes, shares, followers, and information about your audience. The last part will also show you who your main audience is by age, area of residence, sex, and so on. And what's important is all the numbers get displayed in a 1 week time period. So you can see on which day the engagement was high and low, and what is the best time for you to post your content. On Instagram, the approach is the same. You can access the analytics via your account settings and find the same information displayed like on Facebook. It just looks different. Okay, now you know how to identify your target audience and how to use your analytics for your advantage, which means next comes a topic that become very popular with the rise of social media, which are emojis. There are different ways how you can use emojis in your content. You can give it a caption, you can give your caption a nice little touch and enhance your message. And while it seems like a small step to include an emoji, it can raise your engagement. For example, the right post with the little flag got 28% more user engagement than the left post. Seems unbelievable when you spend a few seconds trying to find the emoji in this picture, but that can make a huge difference for your audience. Another creative way to use emojis is also to create polls in your comment section or in a story post. This gives this questioning not only a sweet touch, but is something different than a yes/no answer option for your audience. And while there are many other ways to include emojis in your content, keep in mind they always underline your message and can't replace it. Because if you overuse emojis, your message gets lost. This tweet, for example, by Goldman Sachs, a bank company, thought they would get millennials, the age group between 25 to 45 years old, by describing their life path through emojis. While it might have been a good post, no one was able to decipher this message. So when it comes to emojis, less is better than more. Another important point is some emojis have a different meaning in the internet than you expect. For example, the peach and the eggplant emoji tend to get used in a sexual way rather than as a fruit or vegetable. While many emojis don't have a different meaning within the internet community, if you're unsure with the emojis you want to use, you can search it up in Emojipedia. If you're interested, you can find a link to that in the chat. Okay, now we finished the whole engagement part and move on to the authenticity in social media. Being an authentic brand on social media means to share relatable content following your brand's and customers' beliefs and showing the human side behind a brand. This aspect is very important as 90% of consumers say authenticity is a reason when choosing a brand they like. While big brands struggle a bit with being authentic, it can come really easy to you. So it's possible you already have an authentical online social media presence. What really sticks out is that you shouldn't shy away of telling your brand story. Your customers like to connect with you, and the more you share, the more relatable your business is to them. So show the people behind the brand as much as possible with pictures while you're working or just having fun together. This point got even more relevant during the pandemic as people find themselves now online to socialize. Also, be open about your brand's success and failure. This highlights again the human side of your business. Featuring your audience by reposting their content on your profile will make them also feel more included. And in general, you should focus on how you can help your customers rather than selling your product or your business to them. And creating content with quality and posting it constantly plays also a huge role to it. And the last point is just live and breathe your brand's value in everything you're doing when you represent your business. And now, Kasha will talk you through the influencer marketing.
So, working with influencers can also be a good way to show you're authentic, but influencers can be very difficult to manage. There are some risks, there are some benefits, but also risks. And there are people who call themselves influencers, but in fact, they're buying followers and engagement. Collaboration with that kind of people won't bring you any benefits, and your business won't benefit from it. But we need to say that not all influencers are bad. Although, if you have no experience in working with influencers, we recommend that you hire somebody to help you or collaborate with students. For example, UWL and other universities have done this previously for startups and small businesses. So if you want to know more about influencers, stay tuned for our blog posts. It might be more beneficial for you to collab with other businesses. First of all, you get increased brand recognition because when brands come together, They're bringing their fan base with them, and in theory, this can double your audience. Another benefit is sharing knowledge and resources, because each company has their own insight and creativity, and that can make a collaboration more successful. A very good example of that kind of collaboration is University of West London collab with the Castle, our local pub that is situated in front of the uni. And this pub collaborated with students a lot of times. And thanks to that, a lot of students go there all the time. So just remember, it doesn't have to be a very obvious partnership. It can be something more unexpected. So after you have your story, you have your content, you have your customers, we can't forget about the importance of customer reviews. So how do you get your customers to leave the review? It's really important because 90% of people read the reviews before visiting business or contacting the business. A lot of customers also want to be helpful, but just don't want to waste too much time through clicking through much stuff. And if they have a lot of links to go through, they will just give up. So the first step is removing the barriers between you and your customer. Google also uses reviews to decide which business will be higher in a local search. So you should verify your business. We assume most of you already did it. But if not, in the chat, we posted a link with Google tutorial on how to do that. But another cool way to make leaving reviews easier is to generate a link for direct access reviews. And you can also find this link in the chat. This website is very easy to use, and when you get your link generated, you can post it in emails, in newsletters, and you can post it on your website. But no matter how good your business is, unfortunately, some of us will have to deal, most of us will have to deal with this at some point. It doesn't matter how good you are, it just happens, so don't worry. So what to do if you get a negative review? First of all, you need to respond ASAP, because we live in the online world that operates 24/7 and people expect an immediate reaction. So firstly, ask them to describe their experience and make it very clear that you are committed to resolve the issue. And if they're unhappy, they should contact you directly. You can also give them some freebies. Maybe if you have a restaurant, offer them a free meal, or you can send them some free products that they might be interested to try. But just remember, never mention the freebies on social media, because it should just stay between you and your customer. And another thing to remember is don't delete the negative reviews. Of course, we know, but even if it's underneath your post. So here we have a good example of a good response. It's a restaurant owner replying to a negative review, and you can see that he's using a very positive language, and he's directing the conversation into the direct messages. There are some other important places to get reviews from your customers, like Trustpilot and TripAdvisor. But if you're using these websites, remember that they will already send the links with a request for the review on their website about your business. So you don't want to ask your customer again to leave another review on Google, because it might just annoy them. But it's better to have a range of reviews on multiple sites anyways. So sorry, we know that was a lot of information, but we have another important thing to talk about, and that's paid ads. And paid ads obviously will boost your brand awareness and will enhance the number that you can reach. And you will be using Facebook Ad Manager for both Instagram paid ads and Facebook ads. Now I will walk you through the website and how to use it. So firstly, you need to log into your business account and look at the panel on the left. You can see Ad Center button, and you should click on that button. Then you're gonna be sent to Ad Center page and click the Create Ad button. And then you will be sent to the page where you have a choice of goals. So for the sake of this workshop, we choose get more website visitors. and then we will be sent to the page promote your website. Here you should add your address, your website address. When you do that, scroll down and you will see that you can choose your target audience. This is very important. So you can change gender, you can change age, you can choose location, and you can see the meter in the bottom left here. It will be changing depending on your settings. So play around with it to find the best solution for you, of course. And in the end, the meter should be pointing in the middle on the green. When you scroll down, you will be able also to set a time frame for your campaign. And you can also adjust what kind of business you want to spend daily for your campaign. And it can be as cheap as $1 for a day or $10 for a campaign that lasts for a week. So I hope you find this rough explanation of Facebook Ad Manager helpful. And now I will pass to Victoria, who will give us a little wrap up of the most important takeaways from this workshop.
Okay, so thank you, Kasia. So yeah, as a very quick wrap up, we just need to remember that when it comes to social media, consistency is much more important than frequency. And we need to remember that the content that we produce for our social media, that the quality is much more important than quantity. And we need to be the authentic brand, and we need to keep our social media authentic and transparent. And last but not least, there is no one good way to become successful on social media. So you just need to experiment, and you need to play around with your analytics, and this way you can find your own way to become successful on the social media. So that was everything from us today. And now we have some time left for some questions and answers. Yasmin, are there any questions?
All right. No, in the chat, if you could pop in any question you have in mind, just feel free. We're happy to answer it. All right, we've got one from Raju. So, do you think brands can get enough awareness without any paid social media ads?
I can take this one if it's right. It depends a lot on the platform. So for example, for Facebook, even if you post organic content, so you don't pay for it, Facebook doesn't really promote it to your followers unless you pay for it to be promoted. So it depends on the platform. With Instagram, it's easier to do that because basically the moment you post, the post gets to the top of the page. But if your followers have a lot of people they follow and they all post at the same time, it's gonna be difficult to find your post amongst everything that's on their page. So it might be enough awareness without paid social media, but it's definitely easier if you can promote at least one post per week, or even not that much, but it's easier to just promote.
Thank you, Adriana. So next question is from JG Rose. How do you use podcasts on social media and how do you produce them? So we are thinking actually to publish an article about podcasts on our blog soon. So we will be able to actually go through it and explain it step by step for you.
So I think with podcasts, first of all, you produce them separately. You have other platforms for it, for example, Spotify or Apple Music also has some podcasts. So there are different platforms, not on social media platforms, but like on Audible platforms. But you can still promote them on your social media channels, just like you promote any other kind of content. You can share the link. You can weekly announce, oh, my new podcast is up, just check it out. So that's how you would do it with podcast.
I think I just gonna add, if we consider producing podcast on social media, I would say YouTube would be the best platform to do so. Yeah, I would recommend this platform.
Thank you. All right, next question is gonna be, what length is ideal for a video on social media? and on Facebook? How long should it be a video usually?
So I would say if we consider those two platforms, I would say Instagram videos should be quite short. I wouldn't make them longer than 15 seconds. While on Facebook, we can actually upload longer videos, but still, as content on social media, people are scrolling and they have short attention span. I would still keep it short. I would maybe recommend like Facebook up to a minute. If we want to say like a story, any story, I would say maximum 1 minute.
So on Instagram, I think you can upload a reel up to 30 seconds, but that's like the longest version you can upload. So keep it short on Instagram, and for Facebook, 1 minute max. And if you want to make a longer video content format, then YouTube is the best way for it.
Thank you. So we've got another one, is all about hashtags from Rianne. So are hashtags redundant or still useful for reaching new audiences?
Oh yeah, I would say definitely, especially on Instagram. So definitely use hashtags. And here is just a little tip. I would say don't use hashtags that when you type them in Instagram, they have like a huge number. So for example, you have over 1 million posts with using this hashtag, because this way your post will be very difficult to be found by the hashtag like search. So I would recommend to use hashtags that are between like 100K to 300K maximum, because this way you will be able to probably be seen there.
Thank you. So another question comes from Caroline. So Caroline is in sports management. She's doing a major in the United States, and she was wondering if you know a way how to use effectively social media in the sporting world. Any tips for her?
So I don't know what exactly is it about, but fitness world, I know it's a big topic, especially on social media nowadays. So it all depends like what is needed, but I would definitely recommend like to do some sort of tutorials, or what else, maybe some guidelines, tips, if we are talking about, if someone is like a trainer or something like that.
I'm going to add as well, try to work with communities, find the right audience on your social media who are interested in your activities, and try to activate them to spread the word. And always try to immerse yourself in the community. That's, I think, the most important way to actually engage with your target audience.
Yeah, I want to add something to it. If you're also active, then just share how you, for example, have a jog, or I don't know, just share a bit more about yourself, so your audience also relates a bit more to you. And yeah.
And I would just add, make it relatable, even if it's a big sport event or a big team. Make it relatable so that people can see themselves in their position as well. So that is not just inspirational, and you can somehow relate to the people who are playing, because that's easier for people to connect then.
And I would just add, I don't know what exactly are we talking about, but if you are the person who is having like this kind of website of profile that you are a trainer or something like that, you can always create some content that will become viral. And that's, for example, like creating some sort of like challenges that people can reshare and follow. And I think that's the good way to like promote yourself.
Thank you. All right, we've got another question from Destiny. So social media is very fast-paced and trends change a lot. How can a business stay relevant and be original at the same time?
So I think here that's what we kind of touched on, having like your USP, so your unique selling point. You need to, I think the best would be just to make a little research about like your competitors, and see like how your business is different. Like, do you have something that maybe makes you stand out? And I would keep pushing communication into like this direction.
Also, I want to add to it that yes, the social media world is very fast because it lives through trends. Now, you could also follow certain trends, but still you need to make sure if they align with your own business values, because if they don't, then maybe your audience will say you're not authentic enough anymore. So that's also a way how you can stay relevant on this fast living platform, but still be careful about it.
Mhm.
Right, so we've got the last question for today. So how do you encourage people to repost your posts on Facebook to their friends?
I think I would say, first of all, the post needs to be interesting enough for people to share. Because if you just have simple announcement that is just plain text on a white background, there's less chances that people are gonna want to actually share that. But if you build a community and they are engaging with you on a daily basis, they're more likely to share just because they want to help you as well, especially if you're a local business, if you're part of a small community of people. People usually tend to help other people on social media.
And I would just add, maybe focus to like create valuable post that's gonna bring some value. So maybe gonna educate them on something that is relatable with your business. And this way people are sharing it because they want to also educate other people with this kind of post. So maybe this is the good way.
Thank you. Have we got time for one more question, ladies?
Yes, why not? Yes.
Right. So how important is humor in getting people's attention?
I would say it depends. First of all, it depends if it aligns with your brand again, and also who you're targeting to. So knowing your target audience, for example, if you go with millennials, which are 25 to 35 years old, they definitely like humor. I mean, this is the generation where the memes came very popular. But for example, if you go for an older range, of course, using humor is a good way, but then you might need to be a little bit careful what kind of humor you want to use. So yeah, it depends on your own brand values and your target audience.
And I would say it depends also on what you are offering, because if it's a very serious topic and a very serious area, then you should be careful with using humor, just because you don't want to overstep any boundaries or make people uncomfortable with a post. So if you're in one of these grayer areas, you should be more careful than if you're just offering like retail shops.
Thank you.
All right, that's great. So if there are any other questions, since we are like running out of time, if there are any other questions, please feel free to contact us via our email. We will also send an email to everybody, follow-up email, just with a quick poll so we know your feedback about this workshop, if you enjoyed it, and what are your thoughts. And yes, thank you very much for attending. It was a pleasure to have you here today with us. And yes, thank you.